Social media, specifically content planning, is a real challenge for a lot of the women I work with. As a new business owner and a solopreneur, there are so many new skills to learn and, let's face it, fears to overcome. And so while we know that social media and content are important components in our business, it often leaves us discouraged and intimidated. In this interview, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag and share my secret tool that has helped me get organized so I can get consistent and gain 100 new followers in just as little as a month. We're also going to unpack 3 things you need to know about hashtags and why and what a hit list is and why they work. So let's get started. Meet Kat Gaskin, a graphic designer, content planning expert, yes she is, and creator of the Content Planner, the first and only physical planning system for your blog and social content. Kat helps discouraged business owners create a clear path towards achieving their social media goals so they can be more abundant in wealth and prosperity and, of course, in purpose. With a 6-figure e-commerce brand and a recent 42K launch with 0 ad dollar spend, which is amazing. In her back pocket, Kat brings result-driven expertise and step-by-step strategies to her online community every day. Her signature cool, calm, and collected approach makes a welcome alternative to the overwhelm of juggling multiple social platforms. And Kat's community really loves her because she has these easy to follow step-by-step tips and undeniable commitment to helping women plan it, post it, and profit online. I am so excited, Kat, that you're here today to share your commitment really to the community of business owners and helping us get organized with a tool that, hands down, when I saw the planner, first of all, your radiance and your enthusiasm about it just like it went across the room. So it was like right away, have to meet her, have to go and see what this is all about. But being a business owner myself of now 2 years and having thoroughly struggled with social media and content planning specifically, I immediately resonated when you said, oh, I have a tool, and it is a physical tool and it looks pretty. It has gold and purple, 2 of my favorite things.
I love that.
And then I'll talk a little bit about the opening of the box as well, but I just absolutely loved what you have created, and I'm so excited you're here because I feel the whole world needs to know what you have done and needs to know about the Content Planner. So welcome, Kat.
Wow, Yvonne, that was an incredible intro. Thank you for your beautiful words, for having me. I'm very excited that we met and that we crossed paths at Rise in Calgary back in February, and that you got to see what the Content Planner was. It's literally my baby, and I can't wait to educate your community and tell them all the secrets behind my successes, because they're not secrets. They're things and tasks and to-dos that I openly share because I want to help other people be more organized and feel empowered by the content they're sharing. It's that feeling of confidence knowing that the photo you just shared or the words that you put in your caption really reflect who you are as a business owner or as a brand. And thank you for giving me this platform to do that.
Yeah. You know, it's such an important thing let's unpack this for a second, because you're right. It's not necessarily a secret. And there are certainly lots and lots of different tools out there and available for us to consume. And trust me when I say I have consumed a lot of them. really resonate with how original your specific tool is. And I think it's because it goes back to the basics. It's paper and pen. And
right here.
I love it. So, you know, I'm such a nerd, and I have never found anybody who's as nerdy about pens and like stationary stuff.
You are my people. You are my people.
Totally. As soon as I watched, I've watched your 7-day planner challenge, which, you know, Kat wordplays this one as well, and I'm a huge fan of wordplay.
Yes.
And so the Plan Her challenge, I watch it 3 times, Kat.
I love that.
Because it's a lot for someone when you just don't know these things, right? It's a lot to take in, and you give so much detail and so much step by step that maybe for some people it's a little too step by step.
Daunting.
I don't think for my audience anyways, for the people in my tribe here, I know everyone will appreciate the step by step, because, you know, when you even start with, well, tell me what the hell is a hashtag, that's when you need step by step, because we're not all born millennials who, you know, grew up with Instagram. So we need to know this stuff, and that's what you've offered here. But I also want to speak to, because this is a big part in the Leap, we talk about authenticity, and we talk about like really identifying your ideal client and who you want to work with. And you have nailed that. Like I said, I resonated immediately from the pen selection and how carefully you sorted out which pens we should use to color code our content planner, to, may I just add, like, the detail in, there's like little tabs that you bring along for each month. See these little tabs, and then there is stickers that
who doesn't love stickers?
Who doesn't love stickers? Like, I was just absolutely blown away when I opened up the content planner. I felt, you know, Kat, I felt like I was buying an Apple computer again.
Stop it.
No, because that's what that's one of my values is the detail, the attention to detail, and you certainly nailed that right down to the T. So huge compliments. And then, like I said, you know, the details, like little heart-shaped paper clips with a camera on, like, it's just,
I could just listen to you talk all day about this.
I gosh. And I could go on, because it really is. I'm super, super excited about this tool, but let's get real for why it is so important and why it made such a difference to me. So I'll just share real quick. One of the biggest things that helped me with this planner was to not do it online, to not do it like in Hootsuite or Later or whatever else the planning tools are for some of us. Because what happens is you get onto your computer and then something pops up beside you and you get distracted, right? Or you're in the actual social media platform, and it's quite intimidating because you see how other people are doing stuff, and then I very quickly get intimidated, discouraged, start doubting my abilities. So having it actually on paper, like a physical tool, like you call it, is brilliant. And I'm sure that was one of the reasons why you did it in physical. Am I jumping ahead?
I mean, it wasn't that, it's not that you're jumping ahead. It's everything that you're saying was my intention, which is, I feel very acknowledged. I feel very seen. And I love that, because for everyone listening, I am not a business major. I didn't go to school for business or marketing or e-commerce. I didn't learn social media in school. I'm a graphic designer. By trade, I'm a graphic designer. And like everything that led up to creating the content planner, looking back now, was all meant for this one purpose. It was all meant to be put into this tool that could help women, which is always such a great feeling for me, especially looking back on the hard times when, you know, clients aren't paying you enough, or you have to do free work in order to prove yourself, or you don't necessarily have the community that you want, or you're not working with the kinds of people that you wish to work for. Like, I went through all of that doing freelance graphic design and trying to build up my own brand.
Yeah.
But now looking back, if I never worked for those clients and if I didn't put in the hard work and the hustle and the late night hours of planning and strategizing and growing my own account, I wouldn't have the experience or knowledge that I needed to design the content planner, to put all of those tools into the planner itself. And I always say this, it's like, trust the process, trust the timing of your life. Until that moment happens, then you'll realize. But in the thick of it, it's hard. It's like, why is this happening to me? Why is this going this way? And that's the deeper story of the content planner. And then in terms of how I actually created it, I've been using a daily planner since high school. So for the past 17 years, I know I look young. I look like I'm a teenager. I'm 32. I'm going to be 33 this year. So I've been using a daily planner every single day since grade 9. And just planning out my day and really scheduling out what I had to do helped propel me through university, through college, and then through life. And now working for yourself, like, my daily planner, if it doesn't get written down, it doesn't happen. I completely forget about it. It's not even like, oh, it's not on my Google Docs, it's not on my Google Calendar. I don't even use those things. I still use a paper planner to write things down. And when I was growing my Instagram, I have a personal brand called Salty Pineapple. And when I wanted to really get great at Instagram, I realized that there's nowhere I could write down my strategy, whether it was, okay, what hashtags am I going to try and use today? What brands am I going to try and target so they can recognize me and find out who I am? What questions am I going to ask my community today to engage with them, to generate comments? What content am I going to share? I needed to write that down. I needed a place and something completely not online, something that I could take away and write down with a pen to paper. It works. Science proves that when you physically write something down on a piece of paper, you're more likely to achieve it. And I know you're like me, you don't want to spend any more time on a screen than you need to. And I did my little Google search and I said, is there a planner out there for your content? And there was nothing. There's absolutely nothing close to what I needed. And being a graphic designer, I decided to take the leap, and design my own planner. So I sat in front of my computer one day and it literally, Yvonne, when I tell you, this thing flowed out of me like a waterfall onto my screen. It was so easy and effortless because I've been working for myself for about 4 years. And for the past 4 years, all of those events leading up to that time of me designing the content planner led me to put all those strategies in there, to put a section for your hashtags, to design it so that you'd have your social media stickers and you could fit it on each line of each day. And that's how I created it. I created it from a need that I had. And it just so happened that there are thousands of other women out there now who have the same problem. They need a space outside of their computer, outside of their phone, where they can write down a clear content strategy. Because if you're not online and you have a business, like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's just it. Like, I find a lot of the women that I work with are so reluctant to even go online because it is so intimidating. I mean, there's definitely that age difference where some of us just didn't grow up with the Facebooks of the world. Like, certainly Facebook's been around now for over 10 years. So we all have gotten used to it, but usually just from a personal usage point of view, not a business point of view. So now this new business owner is like faced with this whole new world of marketing and putting themselves out there, but they still have the same challenges as they did without the social media, which is being visible, overcoming fear of this visibility, and really understanding the message that they want to bring across. So How do you do that? How do you tackle that within the content planner?
So how do I tackle
The content organization part.
so if you have the content planner, like how do you organize your ideas? Kind of what do you write down?
Yeah. Well, or maybe even taking it a little bit further back and saying, like, I know in the I love your little section for each month. In front of each month, you have a place for my dreams, is what
Yes,
you call it.
the dream space.
The dream space, and it's a blank space, so you can use your colors, you can use whatever you want, and you can
I
choose.
love that. Can I actually see it? I love seeing people's dream space. I think it's a look inside of their heads.
Well, this is,
very
yeah,
nice.
this was, I like, I'm a mind mapper kind of person. So
Yeah,
when you gave me permission in your challenge to use a mind map, I
yeah.
was like, okay.
That's so funny. Okay, this is mine. I'm a list maker.
Yeah, that
I'm a
is,
list
wow.
maker highlighter.
Yeah. And that's just it. Like, it's the inspiration that you were able to give in your challenge for people just to think outside of that box, and just to give them permission, give us permission to just write down what could that look like. Because as we already talked about, being authentic and being original, as in a broad term, original as possible, is super important, especially when it comes to social media. Would you not agree?
I would definitely agree, but I would also say that when you focus so much on being authentic, you're actually not being authentic. And I know it sounds like a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, well, how do I sound like that? How do I look like that? And my answer is you simply stop trying and you show up and you share your truth.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, whether it's okay, there's a spelling mistake in my caption, or I didn't capitalize everything, or I'm wearing an outfit that some people probably wouldn't like, or I'm not wearing makeup today because I don't want to, and I don't normally wear makeup, so I'm not going to get dressed for Instagram.
Yeah.
I think it's just those little nuances of who you are as a person. Everybody is unique. Nobody is like you. And especially when I first started out with Salty Pineapple and not having an idea of what my personal brand would look like and what I would even sound like or look like on Instagram, that was the number one thing I always tried to remember was be unique, embrace what makes you different, because at the end of the day, and you just said this in our conversation, that's what will make you stand out. So instead of trying to be authentic, trying to be genuine and trying to be honest, simply be those things, be yourself. I mean, I get it. It's such a challenge to be yourself these days because you open Instagram and you see all of these other people doing these things that are successful. You also have to understand that's what's been successful for them, and it won't necessarily work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also going back to the dream space to answer your question, as a creative, and like every single human being is a creative. We come up with ideas every day. We have thoughts every day. So whenever I meet people or people ask me like, oh, I'm not very good at social media, I have no ideas. I don't think that's true. That is totally not true. It's simply a matter of telling yourself, like, it's okay to just write it down and completely just brain dump everything that is going on in your head onto a piece of paper. Again, science proves that putting it down on paper makes a huge difference compared to typing it out online.
Yeah.
Because writing things down, the words actually, you learn them over and over again as you write them down, and it gets imprinted inside of your brain more so than you typing. It goes back to like cavemen and writing things down, putting pen to paper, putting whatever, like a stick to a rock. But writing it, the actual action of you writing out the words helps your brain think about it and analyze it and critique it. And in terms of the dream space, I just wanted a place in the planner that didn't pressure me to write something, that didn't prompt me with an idea because I already have tons of them, and just to simply let my ideas breathe And especially with dreams, it's almost like you don't want to tell anyone just yet, you know? And you have this little budding seedling of an idea, and you're like, okay, I want to write it down somewhere so I can kind of map it out and journal about it, or make a list about how I'm going to achieve it. And that's why the dream space is there, so that it's an entire spread, completely free of like questions or judgments or journal prompts. And you can simply just write it down and let the ideas flow out onto paper. It's a great exercise. A lot of artists and creatives do it, and that's why the dream space is there.
So artists actually have some form of a blank piece that they can let their ideas just, I loved how you said breathe, because I think that feels very much for me like what it does. So I can put it down, and it doesn't have, nothing has to be done with it. It can just, like good wine, breathe for a little while and let it come to form, and then take from it whatever you want into the actual strategy, or what do you call it? Into goals. So you have a section there where you can write down the goals you want to have for this month. Also very well explained in your 7-day challenge. I thought that was so well done, to really give us and challenge us to think about beyond just setting goals of like, okay, I wanted this, I want to that. But you challenge us to set SMART goals. And I love the acronym that you have for it, that you use. So it's really, really cool. What are SMART goals, Kat?
Yes. SMART goals are, and it's not a concept that I created, although I wish I did. SMART goals are essentially goals that are specific. So S for specific, M for measurable, A is for achievable, R is for relevant, and T is for time sensitive. Because I'm sure everyone is guilty of this. I am too, but you're writing out all these goals every day. I almost feel like goal setting is this new trend, but you're realizing you're just spinning your wheels and you're not actually making progress, or you're not getting anywhere, or you're doing all these things, but they're not leading to somewhere that you actually want to be. And having SMART goals, incorporating just those 5 little tips into your goal setting process, will make you feel like you're making progress, encourage you to actually achieve your goals, keep you on track, and get you to that final destination of like those big milestones. For example, let's say you want to start a website. That is your goal. But okay, you need to be more specific. So instead of starting a website, maybe the goal is to create a domain and write out the copy for my homepage. Like that, those are 2 specific goals. And then if you want it to be measurable, you can have it be measurable because either you have the domain or you don't, and either you have the sales copy or you don't. Measurable is more like quantifiable. So you give a sales goal, like, okay, I want to make sales. Okay, how much? 500, 1,000, $5. That's what like having your goals be measurable is about. And also achievable. So how likely is it that you can achieve your goal? And relevant. Huge problem I see with a lot of my community members and just people in general. They're setting all these goals that don't actually relate to their bigger goals. For example, let's say your goal is to sell your product, or to get new coaching clients, or to build up your personal brand on Instagram. I find that we're assigning ourselves all these little tasks in between that goal that don't even relate to the end goal. They're like, maybe they tell themselves they need to do an online course, or they tell themselves, oh, I need 10,000 followers first before I get my first coaching client. Or no, I can't work with a brand because I don't have experience in photography. So let me take this photography course. Let me have to buy a camera. Let's learn Adobe Lightroom. Like we're just adding all these tasks to our to-do list, and it's limiting us from actually achieving our goals. So making sure they're relevant and that they relate to that bigger end goal. And finally, time sensitive. And that's something that is so effortless with the content planner, because as soon as you write down a goal, it's already been planned for May or June or July because of the way I set it up. And this simply means adding a deadline to your goal. Instead of saying, I want to sell 1,000 planners, saying I want to sell 1,000 planners in the next month is way more actionable than just saying you want to do something in infinity amount of time. And just simply remembering to keep your goals SMART, even if it's not a lot of goals. You could have 1 SMART goal or 2 SMART goals. Simply just keeping those 5 things in mind will really help catapult your progress and kind of get you unstuck. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people in here, they just feel stuck, or they feel like they're not moving anywhere, and they're, again, spinning their wheels. And every day they're waking up and maybe they have these long to-do lists, but they're not necessarily getting anything done. And they don't feel that satisfaction of, okay, yes, I do feel like I'm finally making headway. I'm finally climbing that mountain. And so SMART goals are the way to be, the way to go.
Yeah, 100%. And I loved how you spoke to breaking them down into smaller pieces, because I think everyone can relate when you said that when you set these big giant goals, then you get overwhelmed by just the sheer size of them and what all needs to happen for you to get there. So having them into bite-sized bits where you can actually see your own progress on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. I think your planner is really well organized on a monthly basis, and then you can also go as deep as weekly and daily. But it's really suited for anyone, however planning style someone has, either on a monthly or on a weekly or on a daily basis. But it's really beautifully broken down. And what I loved is the systematic steps around it, how you're triggering. This is what needs to come next. This is what needs to come next. So that's really well done in the content planner. So you have a space for just 4, which I also love that it's not like, 100, a list of 100 goals. So just 4 goals for the month. What are your goals for this month? And then you have the hashtags and the hit list. So let's talk about the hashtags and the hit list for a little bit, because I think this is one thing that as soon as I even utter the word hashtag, I think some of us already have like the panic buttons. Because hashtags, how many hashtags, what hashtags, how do I know which hashtags to use? Do I use big hashtags? Do I use small hashtags? It was so valuable what you offered for me to learn from here. I've actually, by just making a couple of the tweaks that you've recommended in your challenge, I've actually grown my account by 100 new followers, which is amazing considering how much time I spend. Like, you talk about how you spend every day a dedicated, or used to, I don't know if you still do, but how you used to spend a dedicated hour or even hour and a half every day, which I haven't done. So from when we met at Rise and I took the planner home to now, which is about a month ago, a little more than a month, I've grown my account by that much, just by following what you've actually taught in the 7-day challenge. Yeah.
Sure, they're very targeted, specific people that are interested in your services and your offerings. It's not even necessarily that it's 100 people, but that you've now put things into place that are attracting the right kinds of people.
Yes,
because
that's right.
What I want to say, especially about hashtags, because a lot of people, they just assume that because my personal account had a ton of followers, that when I launched the content planner, all of them would just funnel over to the business side of things. But no, they didn't. I started at 0 like everyone else does. And what really made a difference in growing my following in my community was using specific targeted hashtags that were related to my ideal client, I gave her a name. Her name is Felicia. I think it's so important to personify.
Yes, agreed.
Speaking to and who your target audience is.
Yeah.
I can picture what she looks like, what she's wearing, what brands she likes to shop at, what her handbag looks like. I can picture what her hobbies are, how she speaks, and not just going for like, okay, this is how much income she makes, this is where she lives, she has this many kids, but thinking truly about what are their habits, what's their personality, what other brands do they follow on Instagram, and using all of that information to drive the strategy behind, okay, well, I think Felicia would use this hashtag in one of her posts. Yeah. Or if I look at this brand, yeah, Felicia would definitely buy clothes from this brand because it looks this kind of way. And so I created these hashtag groups that I would use in my posts, and that's what's really built up the Instagram account. Not that I have a lot of followers. I have about 18,000, but I first sold out of the content planner with like 4,000 followers. And I didn't even have the swipe up feature. I just encouraged people to click the link in my bio. Stories were kind of a new thing at the time. But for anyone, listening to this training, you don't need a lot of followers to sell something, to convert, to generate leads. Even if you had 500 people who were so interested in what you were offering and who would listen to your every single word, that is so much better than 5,000 people who could care less about what you post on social every day.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It goes right back to quality over quantity, right? And really treating something I've been learning in Marie Forleo's B School reminds me a lot about is treat every follower like the human being that they are. So they are legit people with legit feelings, with legit problems, and that's at the end of the day who we all serve. So
yeah, of course,
really love that. Kat, what is a hit list?
So hit list is essentially a list of your dream clients. Maybe it's a list of accounts that you want to get reposted on or that you want to create content for. Maybe it's a list of communities that you want to get your services in front of or that you want to speak with in front of, similar to ACE Class. That's how I met you at Rise, and how I got there is I added ACE Class to my hit list because I noticed that we have a lot of mutual Instagram followers. So I wrote them down in my content planner, which one helped me stay focused and distraction free from who I actually want to collaborate with, but really helping me zero in on, okay, ACE Class, ACE Class, ACE Class. These are the women, these are the people that I want to work with the content planner. So having that written down in my planner helped me stay focused. It helped me stay accountable. And then in my dream space, I wrote down like 4 to 5 strategies of how I could actually work with them based on all of their offerings. And this is how I've always used hit lists. They're basically lists of your dream clients, people you want to work with, brands that you want to get on their radar. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many Instagram accounts out there are so many brands. And again, going back to the overwhelm of, okay, now what do I do? What do I even do with these millions of accounts? Will I be seen? Will they want to work with me? Absolutely, but only if your hit list is intentional, if it has a purpose, if it's the right fit. And that's why just making a simple list of all of the brands and other people that you want to work with and sticking to that will help you.
Yeah. Which I can see the exercise all on of its own is such a good one, because it really gets you to think outside of your own little realm and box, right? Like you really get to start thinking about, okay, where do these people, like going back to your ideal client, you already understand what else they're into, what else they like, and who else they follow. But the hit list just really hits that home by making me think more about, okay, who could I collaborate with? Who could I actually help them in their business, and in exchange they can help me in mine? So I absolutely love that. And it's an equal size to the hashtags list. So I like
equal importance.
Yeah, I found the hashtag list just as important and valuable for me, helpful, because hashtags was hands down one of my biggest reasons why I wouldn't use Instagram. I
Mm.
was really intimidated by, well, I don't know what hashtags to use. I don't even know where to find hashtags. So would you be able to give us like 3 tips on what we need to know about hashtags, just to keep it simple for the purpose of this?
Yeah, of course. And honestly, it's okay to feel intimidated because it is intimidating. It's overwhelming. There are these little words with this, cross-hatch number sign before it. What does that even mean? What does it do? I wasn't raised on hashtags. I had to learn what they did too. And I remember when I used my first hashtag, it was hashtag bikini, because I had posted a photo in the Bahamas when I was on vacation, and I added it to my post afterwards, and I realized, like, wow, I got 5 more likes from these random people simply because I hashtag bikini. And then I thought to myself, well, what if I actually used 5 more or 10 more or 30 to really maximize that? Would it have the same effect?
Yeah.
And it does. And the first thing, out of the 3 things that people should know about hashtags is that they actually work. They do work. There is this it's almost like an urban legend around hashtags, like, oh yeah, they don't work on posts. Like you'll be shadow banned, or they're blocked, or they don't actually help you get likes or followers or engagement or comments. But personally for me, and from what I've seen on Instagram and just analyzing what works for me and what doesn't, every time I use hashtags on a post, it performs way better than when I forget to include them or when I don't include them. So number 1, hashtags work. Tell yourself that they do work and that they are a crucial element to your content marketing strategy. Second is to create targeted groups. The thing about hashtags is that they actually have to relate to the content that you're using them on. So you would never post a picture of an ocean, like sunset ocean landscape, let's say, and put hashtag winter or hashtag mountains, because it doesn't relate. It doesn't create a connection. You have to think about hashtags as a way to almost like categorize or tag your content, and you're telling people what's in the actual photo. Because if I were to tag like hashtag sunset, you know that all these other people looking for sunset photos will also find your photo. So the second tip is to create targeted hashtags, meaning whatever your content looks like, whatever your photo is of, and whatever is related to your target audience and your business and your brand. And this is why, side note, it is so crucial to get clear on who you're speaking to and what your brand is and what you want to look like. You have to know that before you can even dive into the strategies of content marketing. But once you know that, it's so much easier to say, okay, yeah, that hashtag would work for me because when I go search it on Instagram, that's how I want my brand to look. Or all of the faces in these photos, when I look up like hashtag female entrepreneur, those are women who could be my clients or who would buy my product. And just really curating, similar to the hit list, really curating, picking and choosing, and being intentional with the hashtags that you're using on your content, which is probably why you've seen such a spike in your growth, because you made the decision to say, okay, well, now I'm going to actually choose hashtags that I think would work for my community.
Yeah.
And the last one would be, and this is a question I get a lot, is how often do you change them up? Do you use the same ones every single time? And I usually suggest to change them up, 1, according to your content. So for example, with the content planner, if I post a photo and I'm planning, but I'm in Maui and there's a sunset in the background, or I'm wearing a bikini or something like that, I'll do like a female travel themed hashtag group. But if I'm more in an office setting, I'm wearing lipstick, my hair is done, I'm wearing like a business-related outfit, then I will use my female entrepreneur hashtag group. So knowing that your hashtags are catered to the actual content So changing them up according to what the photo is. And then also just shifting through them every few months, which is why I have the hashtag section before each month, because I always suggest for people to either create a new hashtag group every month. I have a whole list of mine that I just like go through, or creating them and just completely switching them up. So one month you're only using this one hashtag group, and then the next month you're using this hashtag group.
But you do need to switch them up though, right? Because if you don't switch them up, then something happens with the analytics within Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah, and think about it like this. Instagram wants you to experiment with all of the new features, whether it's new stickers or stories or Instagram Live or Instagram TV. It likes and it favors new behaviors on the app. So if you're doing different things all the time, it's telling Instagram, wow, this person is really dedicated to using our app. It means that they're active, they're engaged, and so we're going to send them in turn like a lot of engagement and exposure.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. And this is a question that comes up a lot. So I get how you created these different lists of hashtags. Can you give us a bit of a gauge as to how popular these hashtags ought to be in order to be effective? Because if they're too big, so in other words, the word love is often used as an example. It's like, I don't know how many billions of...
So many.
It has
hundreds of millions.
Yeah. So what is a good gauge to look for? Yeah.
The ideal hashtag size for groups, and when I mean size, I mean when you go on your phone and you search up a hashtag, there is a number that sits on top of your screen that'll tell you how many posts are currently tagged with that hashtag. Yeah. And I like to suggest using hashtags with between, I would say, like 400,000 posts to about 20,000. And that's kind of like the sweet spot, because you don't want to use one that's too big, like love or happy or Instagram, because once you use that hashtag, your photo isn't going to sit on that feed for very long, because millions of other people are using that hashtag as well. And it's just going to get lost. No one is going to find you. And it's too general. You want to get specific. But then if you go on the other spectrum and you use a hashtag that's too small, it means that no one is actually looking at it. It's not being updated, and it's kind of stagnant. It's stuck. It's like a stagnant pond. Like no one is fishing in there. No, you're not going to find any fish using really, really small hashtags. And so I like to say between 20,000 to 400,000 posts is kind of the happy medium. You can go kind of above and beyond those numbers, but I wouldn't stray too far away, and mixing that up. So having a few that are like on the bigger end of the 400,000 and having a few that are on the lower end. So that way you're targeting a variable size of communities, which is why, I don't know about you, but I love creating hashtag groups. It's so fun because you kind of get to pick and choose what you want. It's almost like a recipe and you're like baking a cake. I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent, but
I love that analogy, because it definitely, there's a lot to be said about reframing things, right? And so when you come from a place where I've been with hashtags, which was never quite as exciting and more intimidating, for you to reframe that for me and make it exciting, I'm definitely all game for that. Like, let's do it. Let's talk about it as a recipe, because it is true. I agree with you that I think I've seen the spike in my followers simply because I have been more dedicated and more intentional around it. I have switched them up as per your recommendation, and I've created a new list. I kept some of the hashtags the same for each month, but I mixed them up and I changed them up. But I really like what you said earlier about maybe making lists that are relating to themes rather than to just a month, right? So in other words, like you said, a vacation theme or an office theme, and maybe an outdoor,
like a spiritual theme.
Yeah, I like that. And it doesn't really matter where you store them. So if you, but I would probably recommend to have them on some sort of on your phone, so that when you are posting, you can.
I'll show you mine.
Yes, please.
So I just have an iPhone here, and I have iCloud Notes, which is only for Apple devices. You can also use Google Docs or Dropbox to have a master document. Evernote is great. And this is my hashtag document. So it says like content planner hashtags, and then I have all my hashtags here.
Yeah, I love that.
So I have one that says female blogger, female traveler, food blogger, planner addicts. And whenever I think about the kinds of themes that I want for my hashtag groups with the content planner, I think about all the different kinds of customers that purchase my product. So I don't just have bloggers. I don't just have influencers. There are also like business moms or entrepreneurs or e-commerce business owners, or again, like food bloggers. And I have a lot of female travelers and content creators. So simply just thinking about those different categories and creating hashtag groups based around those hobbies and those interests.
Yeah, love that. Oh my goodness, we could talk forever about
hashtags.
Yeah, because it's super interesting and super valuable. And before we close out, I do want to say that for anyone listening to this training here, Kat has and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I'm understanding it is that your 7-day challenge accompanies every purchase of the planner. Is that correct?
So it is available, but only at certain times of the year. So you can get on the wait list. It's actually going to open up in June. So once the training is live, as of today, you'll only have to wait a few weeks. It's completely free. Yeah. And you simply just sign up on the website, and then you'll get access forever until the end of the year. So you can keep on watching it over and over again. It's a self-paced course. And although, I mean, you made it sound like it was like the encyclopedia, and it does have tons of content, but the total watch time of videos is 39 minutes.
Yes.
That is less than a Game of Thrones episode.
Yes. Thank you for actually making that distinction, because you're right. That was one of the things I loved about it. It was so easy to consume. It wasn't like hours and hours and, oh my God, hours of learning. It was easy to consume, but what you've done really well was the step-by-step, like in very short increments, really walking each section through, so that truly preparing the person who's never done this for what's to come.
Yeah, so, even if you do feel confident in your content planning, it's a great refresher course. And I've had tons of women email me saying, Kat, I've been following you for years, and I watched the planner challenge, and I still learned something new. Yes. And it's simply 7 videos that are 5 to 6 minutes long. They're very digestible. Yes. But again, like chock full of all of my knowledge and teachings, so that you can simply watch the video and be like, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to write down in my content plan. You also don't need the content planner to follow the challenge. However, if you do have the content planner, you'll find it so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree, and I will include the link to order the content planner underneath in the show notes for anyone who's interested to click through and get onto your also beautiful website, which is phenomenal. I do have to ask you for personal inquiries, because I see you can order these stickers on your website as well. Is that right?
Yes, okay. You can order an extra set of social media stickers on the site. You get 2 extra sheets, or you can add them with your original planner order. And to piggyback on that, for anyone who's interested in purchasing the content planner, it is fillable, which means it comes undated, so that you can start and stop planning whenever you need to, because I know sometimes life happens, or you order it and you're just not ready to start planning.
Yeah.
Or maybe you operate a seasonal business. It's fillable. It includes 15 months, so you don't have to be scrambling, every single year to buy a planner. It can take you like past a year.
Yeah.
So I want to actually give you, I don't give out discounts ever, but because Yvonne is so special and I love meeting her at Rise, I want to give everyone who's listening an exclusive 10% discount. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, all you have to do is insert the code 10planner, and I'm sure Yvonne will put it down below. So 10planner at checkout will give you 10% off the content planner.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and the free 7-day planner challenge will be open again in June.
In June. Okay, perfect. So if they put their name into the waiting list, then they'll automatically be notified on that, right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Or I will personally knock on their door and ask them why they can sign up.
And she will.
I will. Especially if you order one, because I'll know where you live.
Yeah, exactly. I loved how you just totally pulled me into your little circle in the middle of the whole Rise event, and you're like, "Yep, you need to take a look at this planner," and sure, I sure did, and I'm glad I did. Let's wrap up with what is the most common question, Kat, that let's focus it in on. What's the biggest problem that your tribe or your people ask you?
My people. The biggest, and this is by a landslide, the biggest struggle that my community has with planning and with writing out their content is consistency. Staying consistent. How do they wake up every day and write something down, let alone post to social media and follow through on their plans? So how do you stay consistent with your content plan? I mean, for me, not that it comes easy, but I've been working for myself every single day for 7 years. So I'd like to think that I'm good at being consistent only if I love what I do and it's enjoyable. But what I always say to people is, and this is whether they have the content planner or not, but have their tools that they use that set them up for success, have them out on their desk. Think about your toothbrush. It's in the same place every single day, and you always use your toothbrush. You never think about, where's my toothbrush? Where's
putting it away? Yeah.
Like, I hid it somewhere. Okay, I'm going to completely forget about brushing my teeth today then. Yeah. But a lot of people do that. They hide all of the tools that they need for their business. And simply just having the content planner, I have mine on my desk open to the month spread. So right now it's April, and I always have my April spread open so that, an idea just popped in my head. I'm doing a live training with Yvonne next week. Let me just jot it down and write it down. Yeah. Simply having that tool in front of you with your eyes and you can see it will encourage you to be consistent with it because you're seeing it every single day.
Yeah.
But if you hide it, out of sight, out of mind, you're never going to think about planning your content because you're like, oh, my planner is so far away from me, or I'm lost in a sea of Google spreadsheets and templates and online calendars. So simply having it in front of you for you to see and feel and touch and write it down, that is like my number one tip when it comes to consistency. And to start small, like that's
so helpful. Yeah. And that's so true. It's like, and I think that's one of the reasons why you made it so pretty, so that it matches. So it matches the decor and everything.
The aesthetic.
It's the same with Daniel Laporte's daily planner as well, right? It's just so pretty, and it always sits out.
And it matches the content planner, her desire map.
Look at that.
I know. I love Danielle Laporte. If she's somehow watching this, I love you.
We both
goals. Add her to your hit list.
She is actually. That's fantastic, Kat. This was so valuable and so helpful. Like I said, I could go on forever with this, and I'm sure that we will have many more chats as we go along. But for everyone who enjoyed this, you need to go and check this out. It will change your life. If you're struggling or if you're discouraged about any type of content planning, the content planner has 100% changed everything. And I must say, tie it right back to where we started, it has helped me to be more myself, because before I thought I had to outsource this part. And, not having outsourced it, how can someone else be you when it comes to social media? It's nearly impossible. Having this has helped me bring it back home and actually enabled me to do it myself by giving me the tools to, okay, how do I go about this? How do I do this step by step? So Kat, thank you so much for doing this, from creating this. And I saw that you have now new colors in the works.
I do. So every year the community gets to vote in the next colors, which is so important for me because my community is everything. They are what make the content planner what it is. I simply just put the tool in your hands and everyone has just taken it and ran with it.
Yeah.
So every year they get to vote in the colors. By the time this training goes live, the voting week would have already been over. So stay tuned for the new 2020 colors, because each year a new colorway gets launched.
Yeah. Can you guess which color I voted for?
The sunshine? The sunshine yellow?
Pink. The pink.
The dusty rose and jade?
The dusty rose and the sage. Yeah, that was those.
Or the sage and cherry blossom.
The cherry blossom, pardon me, that's
Okay.
what it was. The dusty rose was just a little too dark for my pale pink that I'm into. But
of course. Well, keep your votes coming because it's all up to you. It's out of my hands. I'm so happy I don't have to make this decision.
oh, I don't blame you. That would be a tough one for me to make as well. So I love that you're giving it back to us to decide. So how often can I vote?
You can vote every day on Instagram stories for the next 6 days, so until Sunday.
All right, I'm going to share it in my stories as well, so that
Yes.
That everyone get on my list gets to vote their color. So thank you, Kat, for doing this interview with me, and I'm so looking forward to what's to come. I wish you all the best success with the next launch that you have coming up. I know you're gonna rock every.
It's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, I know you're gonna totally.
I have so many surprises in store, and I'm the worst at keeping secrets. So send me help there, because I'm so ready to blow this out of the water, and I have such a vision for the content planner. I'm launching a few new products and accessories to complement the content planner as well.
Oh,
how definitely exciting. Speak to your stationery habits and obsessions.
Yeah. Look, how cute is this?
Yeah.
How cute is
Stay
this?
tuned.
Heart-shaped camera. So awesome. Keep it up. Keep rocking, Kat. This is so cool.
Thanks, Yvonne.
And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Anytime. I would love to continue to help your community thrive and rise and succeed, and especially just feel better about the content that they're sharing and how they show up online.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. We need it. We need all the help we can get on that. Thank you. The best conversations happen after the episode on YvonneWinkler.com/The Freedom Seeker Show. So go there, leave a comment, and let me know what resonated most with you and why.